Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of Shit I Learnt in My Youth. In this episode, myself and Nieche discuss the different types of friendships we've had and how they've affected us. We also discuss our pity cats and other things we have in common. Hi, and welcome to the fourth episode of Shit I'm Learning with My Youth with Nieche.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about friendship. So, if you know anything about me, you would know that I'm more so a lone wolf, and I don't really let many people into my lives just because I'm too busy. Like, honestly, I'm just too busy. I have a job. I'm at college all the time. I have a boyfriend. It's just, there's a lot going on. But Nieche is one of the very few people who I seek to be my friend.
I'm glad you do that.
Thank you. Oh my God. So, how would you describe our friendship?
As one that I value the most out of all the friends that I've been with so far. Your friendship is very odd and quirky because you can say a lot of weird things and it doesn't change how I see you.
I don't think I say that many weird things.
Because you're very weird.
I mean, I'm sure if you spoke to my parents, they'd definitely disagree because I am quite weird. But yeah. I don't think I talk about weird things. Maybe I do.
You do, and you're the first person to discuss things that of my other friends have been very anxious to discuss or just won't discuss in the first place.
Like what?
Just adult stuff.
Just adult things. I think that's because I'm probably the most mature friend
you are the most mature friend I've had, and it's new and very refreshing to have someone who's higher. I was gonna say on the same wavelength, but you're on a higher wavelength, and it's great to have.
I promise she's not just my friend, so I have someone to boost my confidence on a regular basis.
That's great.
I mean, I try to be great. I think the thing you supply in our friendship is support, and you anchor me a lot. So whenever I have really dumb questions about science, which is like a good 50% of our friendship, I will come to you and ask them just because she's a science student, I'm a media student, so I wouldn't really know a lot about that. But anytime I have a question, I just go, Nieche, why do I need glasses? Why don't my eyes work? And then she'll explain it in a very simple way that I would understand, like using a camera to describe why I can't see very well. Which is good, which means I learn things.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to think of new ways to describe and teach other people things as well. Because I know that you do media and I know that you like camera, so explaining a vision in terms of lenses and focus was easy to do for you, and I really do like that I can make these metaphors.
I just kind of enjoy that you're like a pool of knowledge and things I don't know. So I have that anchor to be like, I don't know all of these things, what should I do? And I also find you a very reliable source for advice. So if I ever have a problem in my work or in my relationship or in my friendships with other people, I'll always come to you because you're kind of a sane person. If I went to other people in my life, I don't even know, my boyfriend, he would just kind of be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You decide. You're usually stubborn. You usually know what's going on. And I'm like, well, this one time I have no idea. Please help. Please. Like today when I asked you about the logo thing. Just because you're one of my creative friends as well. Even though your brain is very sciencey, it's also very creative, I think. Yeah. But I think that may come from, I don't know if this is right, comes from dyslexia possibly, because I know if you're dyslexic you'll tend to be more creative.
Yeah, definitely. I know I've leaned towards the more creative side, and even my teachers in the past have said, why don't you do art or drama? And I tried, but science just stuck.
Anxiety on stage. Yeah. I just think it's very cool to have a friend who's from a completely different world to me, because we have different cultures, we're different races. Yep. So it's always fun to have a friend who you can kind of just be like, I don't really understand this thing about you, so please tell me about it. Not in the horrible, I want to know more so I can be mean about it. Just in a way of I just want to know more.
Yeah, it's the same with you. When I found out about your religion, I was like, okay, tell me more. Yeah. And then even today I asked you, what does May Day have to do with anything? And you're like, I'll find out for you.
I just correct you. I was like, no, the 1st of May, not May Day. Go tell your teacher.
Mental note now, I know. Yeah. So I like that. It's pretty fun to just have, you see me as a pool of knowledge, I see you as a pool of knowledge, and it's fun.
I also think it's really helpful because you're one of the very few people in my life, in friendships, who appreciate that I don't have a lot of time. Yeah. If I'm at college, I'm working at college. If I'm at work, I'm working. I don't have time.
Yeah.
a lot of it at least. So it's nice to have that friend. And it's also nice that, like, in the first year of our friendship, when I first did my first final major project, the only thing I did was my final major project.
Yeah, I
like,
hardly ever saw you, but I knew you were my friend.
Yeah,
and it was very good.
And I would always invite you to come join me, and and I still do it now. I'm very much like, you can come sit with me, but I'm not paying attention to you because I'm trying to do my work.
I appreciate that a lot because it means if I want to, I can just sit down and do my work as well, and we're not uncomfortable just being in silence next to each other, which with a lot of people I am. So it means that we just have that relationship where you can be in the same room and do something different and still know that the other person cares for you.
I just think that you said something to me a few weeks ago, and I felt it was so wrong that you said that you didn't feel like you brought anything to our friendship.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, excuse me? You bring everything. You don't even value yourself in this friendship. There is so much you do. Like, you're such a great person, and you're such a good influence on me as well. Like, I could easily, like, I don't think anymore, but in the first year I could really easily stray to not doing my work, messing about with other people and stuff like that. But because of your kind of friendship and guidance and allowing me to be comfortable enough to do work, it was a case of, with friends, I know we're friends, I care about you dearly, you're one of my best friends, but I'm gonna do work.
Yes.
It wasn't that pressure, which I greatly appreciate, and I still appreciate now.
I appreciate that you do the same for me, because you know that how, like, bad it is. Like, I would just stop talking, and it's not because I'm not your friend. It's I just left my phone somewhere and I haven't picked it up, and the last thing I thought about was, what am I gonna eat? So knowing that it doesn't anger you, the fact that I haven't texted you in like a week. It's the fact that once I've texted you or once I've seen you, I can still pick up a conversation, and it's still the same. Nothing's lost. It takes away a lot of, like, fear I have of not having a friend who will still be there just because I haven't spoken to you in a week.
I feel like friendships, like, I feel like growing up, you're subjected to those friendships growing up in high school.
Yeah.
Definitely, because I remember being in a little anecdote. I went to Spain for 2 weeks for my 13th birthday when I was 13 with my grandmother and my granddad. And I didn't speak to anyone for 2 weeks because I had no data. I had a BlackBerry. I was in a different country.
You're not going to speak to
I'm not going to speak to anyone. And when I got back, the group of girls I spent all my time with didn't want to be my friend anymore.
Yeah.
Even my best friend at the time, we later rekindled our friendship. Worst decision ever. Even she didn't talk to me. So I was very much isolated. So it made me seek out a new group of friends who weren't good for me. But I remember feeling that pressure, and that was kind of the first, what would be the best way to describe it? That was kind of the first domino to a trail falling, which my head kind of switched to, well, if they don't care about me enough to talk to me after 2 weeks, they're not worth my time.
Yeah.
And that's when I kind of became a lone wolf and kept myself to one friend instead of a group of friends, because up until that point, I was very sociable. I was telling someone about this recently. I used to go to the woods that we went to recently and play manhunt, and it would be a group of 15 of us. And then as I got older, it became 5 and 4 and 2 and 1.
Yeah.
And then 2 and 3, and it always fluctuated. And through that time, I always had my friend George, but our friendship is very similar to our friendship. And I think I just need that type of friendship in my life. But I don't know. I feel like I'm weird for it.
I mean, my past friendships have been a bit of a tailspin, because I've always, like, from, I think, no, it was high school, I've tried to make friends with people that I respect and look up to and, like, have personality traits that I want to steal. Because, like, when you're sitting in the class and you can't do something, you want somebody to have your back to be able to say, hey, here's something you can do. But sometimes it backfired, and those people would be really, really amazingly smart and just horrible about it. And so it led me to think that I could just, like, grit my teeth and bear them being horrible just because they would help me and just because they would provide support when they wanted to. And I said it was okay to take a backseat for me. But with you, it's like, I can tell you anything and you care enough to go, Nieche, that's not correct, this is wrong, or that's good. Like, even on Snapchat when we were texting, you literally congratulated me for stepping up, and no one's done that before.
I think that's because growing up, and this is very much back to my parents, like growing up, whenever I stood up for myself, or whenever I did something that was in the right mind for myself and not to the harm of myself, like I very much was, they would always have my back, and they would always reassure me that that was the right thing to do. And I think that is one of the things that has definitely influenced my development in relationships and friendships. In the way I see it is, if you're not going to tell me you're proud of me because I've done something right, or I've been successful in what I'm aiming to do, are you really worth my time? Because if you're not going to be there for me when I'm celebrating, but you're there for me when I have gossip, are we really friends, or am I just a magazine to you? And that's kind of how I see all friendships. I honestly think I only have like 3 real friends, maybe. One of them in the army, one of them you, and one of them my partner, which isn't very good. I mean, it's not very good, but I function on a better level and I have a small group of friends.
Yeah.
I am developing a new friendship with someone, but I'm very wary of them, only because of the experiences you've had with them.
Yeah.
You probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So with the experiences you've had with them and the person they generally are, it makes me very conscious of the type of person they are. Yeah. And I think our personalities match because we're very similar in some ways, but we're also incredibly different in others. I also find it hard, and I think you might find this as well, especially in our age group, most friendships are based around partying, drugs, and alcohol.
Yes.
I don't do drugs. I drink, but I don't do drugs. And a lot of friendships around me are based on going out and having a joint and then coming back. Yeah. And I'm just like, I'm not getting involved in that.
I don't want to do that either. So it's like,
that's not my life. I'm not getting involved in that. Just because I have goals and I know that's not right for me. So I just think it's hard to develop friendships at our age group if you're not hitting a certain quota, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. It's like the first times I went out with my friends that weren't you, they went and smoked, and I was just like, I don't smoke, and I kind of just stood to the side, and then the wind blew, and I had to like move away from them because it was generally something that I didn't want to do, but like I kind of forced myself to kind of stay around that, and now like famous quote, can't remember who said it, but when you are prosperous, your friends know who you are, but when you face adversity, you know who your friends are, and I think that is something that has really been in my face, especially this year. And so it's a slap in the face, but it's a good slap in the face that I needed.
I think all bad friendships come with lessons, and I always find those lessons just as important as the good friendships, because from bad friendships that I've had, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned that I can be weak and I can be courageous and I can be stubborn and I can be rude, but in those moments I needed to be all those things to get through it. So I am grateful for the bad friendships I've had, but at times it can influence me in a bad way. So if something's happened between me and Corey, my instant kind of brain goes to, what if he's like this person? Like friendship wise. And I'm like, he's nothing like that, but my head switches to that. And I think that can be quite damaging. So I see the effects friendship has on a long term basis, which terrifies me.
I had a very massive fear of someone not being my friend or someone tolerating me. So whenever they said something to me or did something, it was just I would deal with it because in my mind they were tolerating me as best they could. So if they said anything, it was my fault. And so growing up, I would just like try to make myself as small as possible. If I needed a friend, then I could go find like one friend to really talk to. But apart from that, it was just try to keep to yourself and don't upset anyone.
I think the problem I have with what you just said was the word tolerating. I can't stand that word, just because in the world I live in, which I appreciate is very different to the world you live in, that if someone's tolerating me, they're not worth my time at all. I'm not here to be tolerated. I'm not here to be selected. If you want to spend time with me, that's your business. If you want to be my friend, that's your business. But don't tolerate me. I won't stand it. I won't stand for it. I'm very stubborn.
You are, but it's a good thing because you're like you're the exact opposite of me, because where I would crawl into a ball and let someone kick me, you would stand up and say no.
I'd kick them
And
harder.
exactly. And like I would, it's so like you're there to say, Nieche, this is something you can do. You have other options. You're not limited to just one view of thinking. You have the power to do something different. And that's something that there was only one other person in my life who did that, and I don't see them anymore. So you are the constant, which is really
I'm just
nice.
here. I'm just the tide. I'm just the tide in the beach. Like I never really stop. I don't know. I think the older I've got, the less I've valued friendships. Which I know that's a very strange thing, because I know when you get to like 50, 60, you value friendships more than anything. But the older I've got, the more I valued education and working hard. Because I don't know if you knew this about me, and I think you're in a very similar situation. Nothing in life comes easy to me at all. I have to kick, scream, push for what I want in life.
Yeah.
And that's just because I just don't get things as quick as other people do. Yeah. And I think it's part of the dyslexia. I'm not 100% sure, but it's just one of those things. So when I apply the same kind of logic to friendship.
Yeah, the same. I feel the same way. The first time, it wasn't even that I was diagnosed with dyslexia, but it started to show more often. My first primary school refused for me to take my SATs because of that, because I would bring down their average, and they knew that. So I was kicked out of that school, and instantly all my friends that I thought I had were just, they looked down upon me. And then the same thing happened in my second primary school. They kicked me out when the SATs came along. No one wanted to be my friend. I was just that person who was so dumb they couldn't do SATs.
Well, I think primary school experience is a very, they build a lot of walls in yourself, because
Yeah.
I particularly remember a singing teacher calling a group of choir students stupid because they couldn't get the rhythm of a song, and that stayed with me for a very long time. So when I couldn't get certain things, I always felt stupid, and I hate that word. And I hate it when people are like, "Oh, you're so dumb, you're so stupid." It's like, no. It takes me a bit longer to get things, but that doesn't mean I'm dumb. It doesn't mean I'm stupid. At the end of it, I'll probably do better than you did. So shut up.
It's probably idiot and dumb and stupid are probably the only words that actually trigger me. And you can call me any name under the sun, but just don't disrespect my intelligence, because I've worked hard to get to where I am already. I don't need you like just pulling it all down in a single word, because I will just fall over.
I think that's why we're also very close friends, because I would consider you one of my best friends.
Yeah, you do.
Is because you understand that as well as I do. Like, things don't come easy to us, so we have to fight for them.
Yeah.
So it drives me mad when there are people who do absolutely nothing and just kind of kick through life.
Oh, it's the bane. It burns in my soul when I see talent wasted, or see people do the bare minimum because they know at the end of the day they come from money, or they don't have to do the work. They know who they are and they can get what they want. And even if you are that sort of person, I think you should try even more, because you were in the position to make a change. So it just comes as a shock whenever I see someone just sit down and do nothing.
I think that's why I find friendships hard to develop, because I'm quite stubborn in the sense of, if you don't have the same work drive as I do, then I don't really want to be near you, because you're never going to work as hard as I have to get where I am, even if that's at the same level as you. So I think that's what makes it hard to be friends with people, and the fact that people don't seem to take their education seriously is another reason why I struggle to make friends at the current level and age we are right now. Just because everything I do is to aid my education and to do well in this course. I was at work on Sunday. I had 10 minutes. I said to my boss, "Would you mind if I just did some college work? I'll do it at the till." And he said, "Fine." So I started doing college work whilst at work, whilst serving people, whilst writing an evaluation. Like, I was doing 100 things, but that's because that's what I needed to do at that point. And I'm very proud that I can juggle things like that. So when I find people who are very nonchalant about everything, I'm like, why don't you care?
Yeah, and it just infuriates you, and then there's a point where you have to go, no, I can't be your friend because of that.
I think, though, the way I see it, if you can be that nonchalant about something that's very incredibly important, how are you going to apply yourself in our friendship?
Yeah, and that's where, like, I think we differ because I have friends who are very nonchalant and to the point where they've wasted years of their life just because they can.
Mm.
And these are people who are kind of in the same situation as us, who are dyslexic or like don't come from like $1 million, and they just sit there and just kind of sleep through their GCSE exam, which actually stressed me out because we were just in the same room and they did nothing. But again, it comes from the fear of I've known you, so I have to be your friend, or I know exactly what you're going to act like, so it's better me being your friend and taking what you have to give me than getting it from somebody else.
I was never, and will never be that person. I won't put up with someone. If they're treating me badly, they'll know about it, and if they don't change, then they won't know me anymore. And that's kind of, I wouldn't say that's stubbornness, but that's an understanding of self-worth, that I am worth more than you're treating me right now. Which is why it infuriates me when certain friends are treated wrongly by people who are so much less than they are. It's just like, what are you doing? We're coming across as very bitchy. I just want you to be aware of that.
Pretentious.
Just very, yeah. But we're very pretentious anyway.
I mean, speak for yourself.
You're worse than I am. No. What's your cat called?
My cat?
Yeah.
Weekend.
What did you want to name her?
I wanted to name her Wednesday.
No. What did you want to call her?
My mum wanted to name her Shadowfax.
I swear you wanted to call one of your cats like what was the thing that's referenced in Rick and Morty with the cats?
Oh, I totally forgot, but yes, I did. What's it called?
I don't know what it's called. Anyone who's listening and you have Twitter, please at me, learning my youth, and just tell me what this phenomenon is called. So there's a dude.
Oh, remember Schrodinger's cat.
That.
Yes.
So I assume you know what it is, but I'll just give I'll let Nieche explain because she's the science one.
Cat is a very famous physics thought experiment about if you put a cat in the box with poison, there's a 50% chance that cat is either dead or alive, and you don't know until you've opened the box. So it's a will they won't be situation, and my cat is somebody who runs outside a lot, so will they come back today it's a very important question.
Will they? Won't they?
Oh, is my cat dead today? I don't know until I see her, basically.
I had a cat once.
What happened?
I don't know. I think it got hit by a car.
Oh my god.
I've had many cats. My favourite cat was called Cookie though. Cookie. And if I recall correctly, parents correct me when I'm wrong later, I think I might have hit my head or something at school or something. No? Cookie. Do you remember Cookie? I think did I hit my head or something at school when we got her? I do remember. Yeah, so it must have been in year 3 or something, and I hit my head pretty hard for what I considered pretty hard as a 6-year-old. And my parents bought me a cat, so I'd stop crying.
You got a pity cat?
Yeah, I got
my cat was a pity cat.
I got a pity cat. I called her Cookie. She got hit by a car. Oh, no. She's buried in my garden. She's under the shed now.
Oh god. One of my cats got run over, and we mourned her death so much, and it was the day that Michael Jackson died as well. So everybody thought we were crying about Michael Jackson. We were crying about our cat. But the cat I got now was a pity present because I came out of surgery, and where the surgery just got really I got a massive infection from it, and I couldn't move or leave my bed or anything. And my birthday was the next day, and so my mom just literally pushed the cat cage into my room and closed the door. And I'm sitting there paralyzed by all these medicines, and I'm sitting in the corner of my room. So my mom doesn't like my cat because it reminds her of that, but I love her because it reminds her of that as well.
The only thing I got after a surgery mishap was failed GCSE. Lucky. I wish I got a cat instead. That would be nice.
Yes. Oh god. But speaking about GCSEs and A levels.
Never did A levels. I'm very lucky.
I tried, and when I finished my GCSEs, I had a panic attack for some reason before every single one of my exams, and it was my friend at the time who basically said, "Stop, you can do this." And I did all right in them. I got 1 E, but that was in geography. Nobody cares.
Geography. I went to Margate for a geography trip. It was horrible.
Oh wow! But yeah, I when I got my results, they were all C's and B's and 1 A in science, which is obviously
What you pursued.
Yeah, but I went and they were like, you could sign up for A levels straight away. And I sat down at a desk and my science teacher looked at me and she said, you don't qualify for anything here. And I broke down in tears. I just couldn't do it. And then it was only the fact my head teacher came over and said, no, Nieche, you're going to hit, you're still going to be here. You're going to take your A levels. And I took them and I tried really hard. And in the end, I got a D, knowing my teacher said I was predicted to see it at the end of the 2 years. And I said, that wasn't what I wanted. So I left. And when I left, it was weird because it was like, I've been in that school for more than 5 years. Those are my friends. And now they're gone. And there's one friend that I keep in contact with, but everybody else is a stranger now. And that really scared me. And so even coming to the new college, I was afraid to make friends. And then that's where you come in, because I sat there in the media room trying to be as small as possible, and you sit down next to me and just go, hi, my name's Angel, what's your name, can I have your Tumblr please? And they go, right, got a lesson, bye.
No, you had like really cool, you had like blue dreads at the time, and I really digged it, and I was like, wow, she looks like a cool person, like I want to be her friend, she looks really cool. And it was a case of like, so I did GCSEs, and by my GCSE exams I had fallen out with everyone. No fault to my own, but everyone that I was very close with I'd fallen out with, besides 3 people. One of the people I went to go get my GCSEs with, I knew they were going to be terrible, because that was a really bad year for me. And then I opened them and we sat together and we just kind of chatted and it was all fine. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to go to Stanmore and I'm going to study. I was going to be doing, what was it? Law enforcement. But they cancelled the course. I was at work and Stephanie called me and was like, so we cancelled your course. You can either do sport or media. I went, I'm not very good at running. and I've never done media, so I guess I'll do media.
Yeah, okay, sure.
And then I ended up doing media. That's why we're here. But what was I saying? Yeah, so I had no friends. I only had this one very close friend. We were very close friends until I got into a relationship in which he turned around and was like, you can either be my friend and leave your boyfriend, or you can stay with your boyfriend and leave me as a friend. And this was like a good year into our relationship, so I was like, bye! See you around, bruh! And at this point, we were friends, so I did level 2 and level 3. You weren't at level 2, you did level 3, so I met you last year. And in level 2, it was a very small group, like very small knitted group of friends that I'd made outside of college, so I spent a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
And I had one particular friend in college, and we did a project together, and she's not in class anymore, so it's fine. She ruined the project so much that I remember John saying to me, there's a chance you're not going to make it to level 3.
Oh, God.
And I was like, and I went home and I cried, and my mum was like, it's fine, don't worry about it. So I made just the way she is, like, it's fine, don't worry about it. If it's to be, it's to be. So I wrote, I remember I called it an open letter about my FMP, and just slagged myself off like a good 6 pages of, this is where I went wrong and I'm so sorry, please let me back, I promise I've learnt things. And John was like, it's a good thing you got a merit, because now you can come in, because you wrote that massive apologetic essay about how bad the project was.
Yeah.
And when I say the project was bad, oh boy, so bad. The day before, I went to Gulliver's with my cousin, my little cousin, who must have been about 5 or 6, and I fell over and I sprained my wrist. So trying to film holding a camera really, really shaky.
Yeah.
The editor who was there, who was meant to edit the project, didn't edit the project until about a week before the deadline.
Oh, God.
Which explains why I'm so
I never drank.
on top and time management about every other project since, and why I have everything done super early.
You don't want to be in that situation again. Yeah.
That situation where it's like, you should have shown this to us a month ago, where we could have given you feedback, and they're like, but I recorded in April, I don't know why you haven't seen it. So flash forward to level 3 first year.
Yeah.
There was a huge class. I kind of made friends with everyone kind of immediately, and the one person who I did the level 2 project with, we were never the same. Like, we never spoke to each other. And when she left, she like slagged me off to everyone.
Oh,
and then when we came to the second year, the first part of the second year, everyone told me what she said. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, at that point, you were just very confident and didn't care what anyone said about you.
At the point of her saying it, I didn't care either, because I knew, like, I'm not dumb, I can hear you talk about me. Like,
yeah.
You're like 5 seats away from me.
I can hear you, yeah.
I can actually hear what you're saying. So it wasn't ever a case of, I can't believe she said that about me. It was a case of, okay, so move on. Next topic, please. Because all those friends who told me the gossip were magazine friends.
Yeah.
When I say magazine friends, I mean friends who come to you for the headlines, but don't read the articles.
They're superficial. They don't, yeah. And I remember a good lesson I learned that I actually know I didn't learn from it, but it was a lesson, was the first year of BTEC. I kind of, again, I have the fear of never wanting to be in anyone's bad side. So made friends with everyone, did anything they said to please them. And one person that I made friends with, we actually had things in common, so we spoke outside of class. And he would ask to see my work. And I know how it is to not understand something and not get it unless you can see an example. And so I never wanted him to be in that same situation. So anytime he asked to see my work, I would just show it to him with like complete trust and like faith that he would go and take knowledge and just work it to himself.
Yeah.
And he just put a USB in my laptop one day, downloaded my work, and then submitted it as his own, but without telling me.
That's how you get in trouble.
I know when I submitted mine, it was obviously like an automated system that does the marking, so it just flagged as plagiarized for me because I submitted it second. And my teacher just looked at me and was like, why would you do that? And I was like, it wasn't me. I would never do that. And it didn't click for a very long time that it was him who took my work. And then once I figured it out, it was like a 2-month process.
I actually remember you telling me, and my first reaction being like, so why are you talking to him?
Yeah, I continued
why are you wasting
to
time with him?
After that, and it wasn't just the plagiarizing, it was the fact I would say something and
the betrayal.
The first word out of his mouth the day I met him, I said, I'm dyslexic. If I ask you a stupid question, don't think too deeply into it. And the first thing that came out of his mouth was, you're an idiot. And that was constant.
Do I have to throw hands?
Don't throw hands. But like, it hurt. And then I remember one day, I think it was the second week, I walked out of class into the lunch cafeteria place and just burst into tears. And he just stood over my shoulder saying, oh, I didn't know it hurt you like that. And I was like, I've told you it's very close to me being called an idiot. And he's like, okay, try to stop it. And he did for a while, but then he started being a bit racist. And I was just like, oh, this is going bad. And again, I never said anything because I don't want to be on his bad side. And then after he stole my work and the months passed, I shouted at him one time, and then that was it. I moved away from him. I didn't sit next to him. And that was the first real step in being myself I took. But it didn't last long because I obviously didn't learn my lesson.
Yeah, no, you're not very good at learning lessons.
No.
So it sounds like we've both have like pretty rough friendships. So what do you think about the idea that you need to be in a group of people to grow as a person?
I do think it's important, mainly because, again, I wouldn't have learned any of these lessons if I hadn't been in a group of people, if I hadn't met people who were horrible to me, although they were horrible to me, like, thank you, because I've now grown and I know where I need to step up, because the way your friends treat you is like how you may be treated at work. So I'm stepped over a lot in college by some of my friends, and I've seen that reflected in work. So I now know that's something I need to work on, me being assertive. So they're good life lessons. I don't think you can just be a lone wolf all the time.
I think last year, whilst we were doing our F&P, from the minute the brief dropped, I became a lone wolf. I only had 3 people in my life, and I was happy with that. Only because I knew how much work I needed to put into that project to get what I needed to get. And what I needed, and the only thing I'd accept, was a distinction last year. And this year, but I'll be okay with the merit. I'll be sad, but I'll be okay. But just a little hint. But so I knew exactly how hard I needed to work, so I pushed to work that hard. And that's when your friendship came very much from a good place and was very loving and very helpful because you understood that about me.
Yeah.
You didn't put pressure on me to go, no, you don't need to do work. Let's go to Sainsbury's and grab lunch.
No, because it comes that second to I know it's the same for you, but education is it. At the end of the day, I would fear it, but I would have to say I would stop being a friend to focus on education. Like
Yeah.
I would hate doing it, and that's something I've learned from you. Is I don't always need somebody there. I can be my own person, and at the end of the day, I'm responsible for my education and my qualifications, and so it's important to make sure that I take that responsibility in that.
And that nothing comes in the way of that, because I know it's so easy to fall into a pattern of lesson, lunch, Sainsbury's, Subway, chilling with friends, lesson, break again, lesson, break.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And even in those lessons, some people treat them as breaks.
Yeah.
So I often take myself away from everyone else and just do work. And I encourage other people to do that. There are certain people in my class who teachers will suggest sitting next to me because if they need help, I'll give it to them. I won't take them on a tangent. I won't make them think of other things. I will just focus on that work with them. Which I think is a bit of a responsibility, but
you do it quite well, because like you never ever said anything to me about doing work, but I was slightly falling into that pattern that you just said. But then you were like, I was like, hey Angel, what you doing? It's like work, but you can sit with me, and I was like, oh, okay. And I sat with you, and sitting just with you, like I would watch you do your work, and it'd be interesting. But it's like I could be doing my own work, and I could get my own laptop out, I could do my own stuff, and that was fine. It was okay. And I need to ask you a question about spelling, even though we're both like
dyslexic. I can't spell for Christ on earth, but I can give it a good go.
You didn't judge me for the fact that I couldn't spell Wednesday, and that is something that I appreciated, and the fact that you had a nice working environment, a welcoming and working environment around you was just really, really good.
But see, I pick them up so much, but I attribute that to my parents, because from like the minute I remember, like from childhood, my mum was working, my dad was in the studio making songs. I'd sit on the floor with him and he'd be working, and I'd just be sitting in that environment and learning things and listening to music and things. And my mum would be at work and she'd come home and then she'd cook dinner and then she'd be doing more work, or she'd be going to college and things like that. So I get my massive work drive from both of my parents, and sitting in the studio with my dad at a young age taught me that you can spend time with someone, but you don't have to talk to them. You can spend time with them whilst they're doing work and whilst you're doing your own thing, and just spend time with each other.
Yeah.
So that's what my dad kind of didn't mean to teach me, but taught me.
Yeah, my childhood was my mum went to uni like 4 times a week and had 3 jobs, and I knew none of it. Like after school, I would go with a childminder, and the childminder wouldn't do what a childminder should do, which is continue on your education and like do all these focus groups with you. She kind of just left me in front of the TV, and then she had her children, and so it was just me and her son just watching Power Rangers, and that was most. I
mean, Power Rangers isn't a bad show. Like.
Power Rangers is the best, especially SPD.
Exactly, like
and Jungle Fury. Those are the best.
Exactly, it wasn't a bad childhood you had.
I know, but even with that, and my mum fighting for my dyslexia at the same time, it was a point where I knew I had to be serious. Serious about my education, and there was a time where I was a horrible person and I would fight and kick and push because every time I screamed out for help because I was being bullied, nobody would listen. So that was the only way. I remember sitting in a meeting with the head teacher and her saying, "We phoned the police. If you do this again, not only will you be expelled from the school, you're not allowed on TFL transport anymore." And I went, "Oh, that doesn't look good on a CV."
Nah, that was never me, bro. From like year 3, I was in school councils. I remember being like in school council, like year 3 head teacher, Mr. Balding, who was my deputy head teacher, and just being very much involved in that world. So even it's still, even when I wasn't working, I was working.
You were working, yeah.
But at like such a small level that it would never really have. I think it did actually have an impact because I think we got to choose the color of the uniform or something, but which they still wear now. So it was a big thing. This was like 10 years ago. So
that's what they see. You represent the school still.
yeah, exactly. But so I've always had that kind of working head. I never stop working. I just enjoy working so much. Like that's why if you read my problem solving page, you'll see that Easter break wasn't good for me because I wasn't working. And I constantly need to be tapping away at something.
Yeah. My when I went to high school and everything got sorted out after the whole fighting incident, I obviously stepped up, and I remember the position for prefects opened up, and there's this club in our school called the Brilliant Club.
I was a prefect, yeah, and deputy head girl, yeah.
Everybody who applied to be a prefect was in the Brilliant Club, and the Brilliant Club was obviously full
the brilliant,
the best and brightest people who did the debating team and the mathletics. They were the cream of the crop, basically.
But they were all assholes.
Yes. And I applied, not thinking I would get it, but my mom was like, it's a good thing we had to go through an interview process, so it was like, you need to learn this stuff anyways.
Yeah.
And I aced the interview and got it, and part of like the back of my mind was like, this is a pity thing. And it probably was, because they never gave me much to do, but it was the fact.
But you were there.
I was there, and I tried my best, and you've seen it through how I am in college now.
Yeah.
I'm a STEM ambassador.
Oh, you're like head of everything.
I'm
I
the
literally do nothing. Like the last 3 years have just been me being like, I've been in school council since I was in year 1. I deserve a break before I go to university and try and be ambassador at absolutely bloody everything.
I'm just trying to bulk up my CV, because that's another fear I have, is that because of dyslexia, no matter what grade I get, all they're going to see is she has learning difficulties.
I just don't add it.
She's gonna cost more. She's gonna cost more money, and so she's
you don't
not
have to tell them.
No, you don't. But then it leads to problems further on
when they find out.
Yeah.
No, just be like, by the way, mate, I can't spell Wednesday, and then walk away. He doesn't need to know anything else other than that.
So having the fact that I sit on the board of governors to any CV, I think is a massive plus, and that's something that again my mum has instilled in me, and I continue to do, because there was a chance where I could have just given it up.
Yeah.
And because of like being your friend and seeing how you are and how assertive you are, and I just wanted to learn as well. Even if half the meetings were just sitting in silence, it was just fun to learn how bureaucracy works and how to fight it.
See, the interesting thing about that was I was in Harrow Youth Parliament for a very long time, so I saw a lot of that actively firsthand. So I think that's what kind of didn't interest me about it.
Yeah, you already done it.
Which I think sounds really strange, but when you've been sat in front of all the local governors and you're making a point, I feel is very different. It's still important, but different to what you guys kind of get up to. I don't know. I think, kind of final thoughts, I think friendships can be very traumatizing and very damaging, but I also think when you find the right friend, life just gets so much easier. But you need to find a friend who understands you.
Definitely. I think that just having someone you could tell absolute rubbish to and still values every word that you say is of like the most important.
I think that kind of reflects our friendship, but I know when you're talking rubbish, and I'll pull you up on it. Like there's no like the minute I see that you're a little bit something in you's changed. It could even be the way you hold yourself. I'm like, what happened?
Exactly.
Are you okay?
Yes. I hope to be that perceptive one day.
Hey, it's a curse and a skill. Anyways. Thank you to the audience for listening. Thank you, Nieche, for coming. Thank you to my dad for producing it and my mum for chauffeuring us here. Anyways, that's the end of the episode. See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks. I need to pee. Do you want to come with me? Do you want to almost die on some stairs?
I love dying on stairs.
Same. Where's my phone?